What is up, guys? In this video, I'm gonna show you a really cool effect that can add movement and texture to your synth sounds. Ready? Let's jump straight into the project. Okay, so I have this small beat idea with these synth chords and a bass line and some drums. Sounds like this. The chords are sounding okay-ish, but I think they lack a little bit of extra movement. And there is one effect that can do this, and it's called Tremolo. So Tremolo is basically that you have your input signal, which is my chord sound. You're gonna put this into the effect unit. Then you have a rate knob, which is basically an LFO that's controlling the volume of the input signal. So for this instance, I'm using Guitar 6, the Tremolo plugin. So we have the intensity, which is basically acts as a kind of mix wet knob. So it's basically saying like how much of the tremolo effect that you want to apply to the signal. So if I put this to 10, let me turn off the stereo. Let's play this in solo mode. You hear that it's docking like the full signal, like all the way down, so you have like a quiet moment and like the full volume. And then you can basically control this rate knob to apply like how fast it's gonna behave. As you can hear, it's really adding a lot of extra movement, but we can also do something like syncing the rate to our tempo of the project. So I can put this to like maybe like 1/4 of a rate. And this is pretty handy if you want to time the effect to the synth. And this can really add some rhythmic results. One knob that this tremolo effect in Guitar 6 is not having is like the possibility to select a waveform. So you can basically, if I jump into the ShaperBox, I can just show you it visually. You can select different types of waveforms for the LFO. So you can have like a sine wave, you can have like a square wave, a triangle wave, and it just basically gives you a little bit more control. I'm gonna jump into ShaperBox later in this video. What I really love about this effect is that you can either go with the syncing way or you can have it unsynced. And this basically just adds a little bit of like volume modulation to your sounds. And I think it works pretty well on like synth stops, chords, and so on. So I like to put my settings at around here. I don't want it to be like full intensity. Tremolo in Guitar 6 has this stereo effect, so it's basically also panning a lot accordingly to also the volume modulation, and it just sounds amazing. Like, take a listen. Let's try to listen to this in the beat. Okay, let's try it with when it's synced. So listen. So the syncing is really great if you want to have a little bit more extra control of the speed of the LFO. Okay, so I know like Guitar 6 might be like a expensive plugin. So if you're using FL Studio actually has this plugin called Fruity Panomatic, which you can use as a tremolo effect. So if you go down, you have like basic knobs in the Fruity Panomatic. You have panning and volume, but you also have the possibility to assign an LFO to either the pan knob or the volume knob. And we want to assign to the volume knob. So we're gonna go down here and select the volume as what the LFO is gonna modulate. And then it's basically just a matter of playing around with the speed of the LFO, like the rate, the amount of LFO modulation to the volume knob, and then you can also play around with like the volume level of the sound. So let's take a listen. as you might see, like you have possibilities to choose between 3 different waveforms. You have like the more rounded off sine wave, you have the triangle wave, and then you have like this more like square wave that's really great for like these like more obvious rhythmic kind of results. I actually think this square wave sounds pretty nice. Let's try to pull this off. Enable it. So it's just like a subtle effect, just like shifting like the volume levels a little bit, and it just adds a little bit more extra movement to the sound. So I have one last plugin that you can use for this tremolo effect, and this is the ShaperBox from Cable Guys, the volume shaper. So here you have a little bit more control. So basically we can, as I showed you before, we can change like these different waveforms. We can also draw them in ourselves. We have like the speed, the rate of the LFO. And we also can put this into a syncing mode, and we have a mix knob, which is also pretty handy. So if you try to play the chord sound, so what I love to do is that when I'm working with tremolos, I like to put the mix all the way up so I can really hear the effect. And then I'm basically just playing around with the speed, the rate of the LFO to find like that sweet spot where it really makes sense for like the movement and the bounce of the sound. So I think around here actually makes sense. Then I really want to try out this like square wave because it sounds pretty nice. But to be honest, maybe we need to put this in a syncing mode. Let's try to test it in our beat idea. This is going to be a little bit too random, so we're going to put this into maybe like a 1/8. Let's try it. Maybe 16th. So right now this might actually sound like that stuttering effect that you hear in like a lot of modern house music right now at the moment. So you could use this for like the stuttering effect. But I want the effect to be a little bit less obvious, so we're gonna dial back the mix to around maybe like 50%-ish. Because then you still get like the effect of like that stuttering effect, but you still have a lot of the original signal that's not being processed by the tremolo effect. And I think like having a mix knob is pretty flexible and it can really yield some creative results. That's the ShaperBox. I have like one last more advanced technique that you can do. So if we jump back into Guitar X6, I actually want to modulate the rate knob with another component. So in Guitar X6, we have these modifiers that we can use to modulate certain knobs in Guitar X6, and I pull in the LFO. So I want to set this LFO to random, and then I'm going to drag the LFO to the rate. Then we need to set how much amount of the LFO we're going to assign to the rate. So a finger around here, and then I'm going to adjust this to here. So let's play it. Then we're going to turn up the speed of the randomization. So right now it's actually going a little bit crazy because now the LFO in Guitar X6 is modulating the rate of the tremolo effect at like a more random kind of value. So every time like it's just a random amount of LFO rate in the tremolo effect, and it just gives like a lot of like almost like an organic vibe to my opinion. Like just unexpected happy accidents. Let's play it in the beat. Like, this is such a great tip if you want to go more advanced into this with your tremolo effect. So this is like an effect I really love to put on my synth if I want to add that extra kind of movement, bounce, texture, whatever you could call it. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Okay guys, that's it for this video. If you liked the video, it means so much to me if you smash that like button or even subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss any future videos on the channel. I have also launched a Discord server for producers. It's a place where we can share our track ideas, get feedback, provide feedback. It's generally just a cool place to hang out and talk about music and stuff. And I really want you to get involved if you want to. You can join the Discord via the link in the description down below. If you want to support this channel even further, you can go and browse some of my sample packs and preset pack on my web shop. The link is also in the description down below. So I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.